welcome back to the Pittsburgh Sports Saviors. It is September 25th, about 10 o'clock at night. Lee, how you been? How you doing?
I've been all right. I'm doing all right. How about yourself, bud?
Pretty good. Everything's perfect for me in the football world right now. The Steelers undefeated,
Mm-hmm.
Pitt Panthers undefeated. I'm living the high as we go on through the season here.
Yeah,
Pitt's
yeah.
off this weekend. The Steelers will have the Colts. Um, and I think the main thing right now with the Steelers, the storyline that I think everyone's keeping an eye on really is the quarterback situation, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where are you at right now with the Steelers quarterback situation? I don't know if we talked about it too much on Sunday. I think we probably did, but are you in the camp of it's time to name Justin Fields a permanent starter?
I think for right now, I mean, what we're seeing is he's doing what he needs to do to get some wins, and a lot of his throws that he's been making have been pretty decent. We've seen him through 3 weeks. He's doing what he can to help this team win, and I think like we talked about, waiting for that dam to break and get that offense to explode. So I think that, I think that he's doing what he needs to do right now. I mean, I think that if he starts this week and we get another win, I think he should be the permanent starter, if he does start. So I think I'm ready to just kind of see where he can take us, right now with the season as things have been rolling. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I think right now, unless you're told, unless we see something in the next couple weeks that completely changes what's going on for the first 3 weeks, it's hard to go back to Russ at this point. I know I've been
Yeah.
on the other side of the camp, but week 3 was a great game from Fields. But the one guy wants to delay his decision is Mike Tomlin here. So I'm just going to play Tuesday. He had his press conference and he went in a little bit about Russ at the beginning, and then talks about how Fields has played and the decision of whether or not to name Fields the
Mm-hmm.
starter. So figure I'll play some of Tomlin and we can talk about that for a little bit.
All right.
Still very much in the same place with Russ this week as we were last week, at least at the beginning of the week. I just met with him and our head athletic trainer and talked about what tomorrow looks like. Tomorrow is a limited participation day from a scheduling perspective. He had a good workout today. We'll see how he feels in the morning, but I'm not expecting him to be a full participant tomorrow. And so as we walk in the building tomorrow, I want Justin singularly focused on starting for us and doing what's required to be ready to do that. And so although I'm sure you got questions, I probably got similar answers that I had a week ago, and we'll see where the week leads us. If his availability or the quality of his practice participation picks up, maybe we'll consider that later in the week. If it doesn't, then it won't be a consideration, and we'll just continue with where we are right now. And
So right there, I think it's important to say that Tomlin's just going to kick the can down the road until it's time to make a decision. I think that's fine to do. There's no,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt anything. It's not like it's going to affect anyone's psyche. I think because it's still status quo for what we've been seeing, as he's pretty much saying along those lines, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, whatever's going on with Russell and this injury, it just seems like it's not getting better, if that's what's going on. I mean, I think he's fine with how, Justin Fields has been playing and how things have progressed with the offense with him, as the starting quarterback. And yeah, I mean, I think that, right now, while he's, waiting to see what's going on with Russ and this injury and whatever else is going on. I mean, I think he's just fine with, just keeping Justin Fields in there and, just kind of just seeing what's going to happen as we go week by week for right now, so I think that's just what it is.
It is odd. At least I haven't caught anything. It seems like for a guy who's a future Hall of Famer, there hasn't been much media from him at all during
Yeah.
this injury period. I don't know if that's intentional on the Steelers' part, that they don't want to bring any attention to the QB battle or whatever you want to call it. But it seems like it's been complete silence on the Russell Wilson front.
Mm-hmm.
No true updates with regard to his injury. It's something where like it felt like it came out of nowhere, where no one was talking about this injury,
Yeah.
and then boom, he's just gone. and pretty much out of the spotlight. You see him on the sidelines, dressed every week, as Kimmy mentioned in the post game. But yeah, just
Yeah.
like radio silence almost from Wilson's perspective. But I think Tom's about to go in a little bit on what he's seen from Field so far and everything along those lines.
That's just the status of not only him, but our intentions regarding Justin as I stand here today in preparation for this game. Again, as I mentioned, very similar to last week, very similar to the week before.
Mike, now that you're 3 games in, what more do you need to see from Justin? Why not name him the starting quarterback going forward?
Because there's no need. I explained to you the variables of the week. It has not changed. He's going to walk in this building with that mindset tomorrow. And so there's no need to. Sometimes in this business, man, there's a myriad of complex decisions that need to be made. I've learned to make them when it's appropriate and it's not necessary as we sit here right now. When Russ gets to an appropriate point of health and we have a decision to make, I'll make it and I'll announce it and I'll be really transparent about it. But until then, I don't care how many ways you guys ask me, I got no intentions of making a decision that's unnecessary at this juncture.
Mike, related to that, what is that appropriate point of health or healthy that Russell has to hit for you to make that decision?
We'll know when we get there. He'll not only be healthy in terms of keeping himself safe, but he'll be healthy in terms of being able to be productive and do the things that he needs to do and we need him to do.
Has Justin Fields shown you some things that changed that point for you? If he had struggled compared to playing pretty well.
No question, Justin has played well, and that's exciting for him and for us. But I'm not surprised by that, and I hadn't looked at it in terms of the decision making because it's not time yet.
Mike, what is it that you like most about him that you've seen, Justin?
As I mentioned in here repeatedly, I like his steady demeanor. I like that in a leader. He doesn't ride the emotional roller coaster when things are going good, when things are going bad. Guys can rally around that. He's steady. He's a competitor, man. He likes to compete. He doesn't turn down things. He's aggressive in play, scrambling and so forth. It's just been fun to get to know him and not only know him as a guy, but know him as a competitor.
Mike, what is it?
So, for me, it just feels inevitable that he's going to be the starter once Russ is officially healthy, unless Russell's never going to be officially healthy. But I do like the comments there from Tomlin. I respect what he's saying. Where like there's no need to make a decision now, and that's the case. It's fun for people to talk about, but in reality, if the guy's not available, the guy's not available. Why even put something out there that can affect things? I mean, all the drama of the offseason with the quarterback position, maybe that doesn't happen if there's not talk about who's going to be the name of the starter and whether all these other things. Because apparently that was part of it with Pickett, where he had thought he was going to be able to compete for the job, but then he heard that he was that Russell Wilson was in the pole position, as they said. So maybe he just doesn't want to put anything out there because that can affect how Fields might feel or how Russell Wilson might feel when we might need both those quarterbacks down the line.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and these guys are people just like us. Just because they're athletes and they get paid like us, don't mean that things won't, mess up their mental, just like, something that could happen to us. I mean, it could just change their perspective and their perception of things, and just how things are going to move forward with them as being the quarterback or just a player for this team, in the city. So I think, just there is no point. I think it's still early in the season to really say anything. I mean, we've only gone through 3 weeks. We're coming up on week 4 here on Sunday, but, obviously, like you said, Russell Wilson's not even prepared to even play. There's no point for them to keep asking, but, like you said, it's something to just, I think like the media just likes to stir up drama and things like that. And it's just what it is. But, we'll see what happens when Russ, if he does even get to 100% at some point, and when that does happen, what's going to happen. But yeah, I agree. I think that, like you said, it's inevitable. He is going to be the, probably the starting quarterback, come, as the season progresses on, barring whatever else happens with anything else going on with this season. But yeah, I mean, I think he likes what he sees from Justin Fields. And I think he's just going to continue to grow and improve from here. So we'll see how it goes as the weeks come on.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think we're on the same page here. Let Tomlin finish up some thoughts on Justin Fields, and then he does bring up the fact that when Russ is ready, then it's pretty much he's right back in the competition. It seems like.
The a couple of throws that Justin made on Sunday, the touchdown throw and the one on the left sideline that picked up the big first down to Miller, had to be very precise to work as they did. Was that something that you saw in evaluating him out of college while you were evaluating him to bring him in, or is that something that he's improved, that precision that he's improved since he got here?
Very much so is something that we saw in draft prep, dating back to his days in Columbus. And that's often the case with us. Our interest in people in terms of pro personnel oftentimes can be traced back to draft evals, and that was a component of his game that was really impressive in Columbus, certainly.
You spoke about what you liked from what you've seen from Justin up to this point. What areas of his game do you want to see him improve in?
I want him to see him improve in all areas, to be quite honest with you. Knowing what those areas of needed improvement are difficult sometimes when you don't have a shared experience. And so a component of me getting to know him is just maintaining that posture, challenging him to improve in all areas. And as we gain more experience together, I'll be able to narrow that focus on things that become repetitive or trending.
Anyone else?
Mike, I got one more. You talked about, when you talked about Roman, you said it's hard for a guy to get on a moving train. You talked about Lowry, a veteran guy. In relation to the quarterback position, is Russ's resume such that those concerns aren't as heightened because he knows his first year in a new system?
Yes.
At one point, does the train get moving too fast for a guy like that to catch up?
I don't know, man. We'll know when we get there.
Anyone else? All right.
Thanks, guys.
So there you go. There's Tomlin's take on everything. I guess we can hit the last part first. Do you agree with that? The way Russell Wilson, the fact that he's been a veteran in this league, a Hall of Fame type caliber guy, that once he's ready to go, if you think he's the guy, then he's going to be out there. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, if he's ready to go, I think he's a future Hall of Famer. He's won a Super Bowl. He's he'll go down, probably is one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game, especially for his height, and I think, he, if he's ready to go, I think you make him the starter. I mean, I like what I see with Justin Fields. But like Tomlin said, he'd like him to improve in all areas, and, we're not certain if Justin Fields is really going to be the guy going forward right now. I mean, he's definitely one of the top 32 quarterbacks in the league, somewhere in there, and, I like what I see from him, but, we brought Russell Wilson in for a reason. And I think that, they saw potential in him, to be the guy to help, this offense move forward. And if he's ready to go, I think he's the guy, until he starts messing up or maybe gets another injury, things like that. So I think if he's ready to go, I think, you bring him in when it's that time, because he is the veteran guy and he's ready to compete and he's ready to play. There was no reason to bring him in then if you weren't going to have him play.
And then what do you think of that first part he said about I thought it's interesting that Fields was picked 11th. The Steelers drafted Najee Harris with the 24th pick that year. But they were looking at Fields, it seems like, in evaluation. Maybe it's just that's what they do. They look at every guy. But I thought those comments he made seemed to push the idea that maybe they were like looking into Fields in particular during that draft evaluation period. What do you think about the idea of that was going on in 2021?
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely interesting to hear him say that. I'm trying to think. Was that his last year, right? 2021, I think.
I think he gets one more year, right?
One more 2022, maybe.
Let me double check on that real fast.
Because if he falls to 24 at that point, I think it would have been interesting to draft him at that point and to kind of see him come in and step into that role behind Ben right after that. I mean,
I think we meant the same thing. I thought you were saying that Ben was already gone But no, you meant that was his final 2021 was
Yeah.
like the year that
Yeah.
came after it. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
he had that one more season and then he retired at the end of 2021.
Okay, yeah.
So
So
yeah, we meant
yeah,
the
it
same
definitely
thing.
would. Okay, yeah. So it definitely would have been interesting to draft him to see how he would have stepped into the shoes of right after Ben. I mean, because at that point, if he does fall, we don't pick Kenny Pickett up, and who knows what's going to happen at that point. So. Yeah, I mean, I think they do look at a lot of these guys and they hope that maybe they will fall to their position, but it didn't happen. But now he's here, and I think Mike Tomlin probably had an eye on him for a while, and now that he's on the team, I mean, I think he's just happy to see how he is as a player and who he is as a person, and he is talented. He definitely has a lot of improvement and growth, like we talked about before, and but yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It would have been interesting to see, him as coming in behind Ben. So it just that didn't happen, but now he's here. So we'll just see how things progress moving forward.
Yeah, it's always fun to do the what ifs, but yeah, you're right. He's here now, free agent at the end of the season. It'll be curious to see if they come to him with an offer.
Yeah.
The more wins he gets, the higher the price tag's going to be, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
But this week the Steelers go at the Colts. The Colts come in 1-2. They're pretty much playing like middle of the pack so far this year. I'd say they're not. They'll probably be on the outer edges of the playoff hunt. Maybe they sneak in for a wild card. I don't expect them to be a true Super Bowl contender at all. And Tomlin went in to talk a little bit about their offense, which focuses around Jonathan Taylor, obviously, and then they also have Anthony Richardson, a quarterback. So there are some running threats that I think that's going to be the key focus of this game is the run defense and how the Steelers can do. But let's hear Tomlin talking about the Colts real quick.
Yeah.
Now turning my attention toward the Indianapolis Colts, their team that's coming off of a big victory last week. If you look at them offensively, first and foremost, we got to deal with Jonathan Taylor. He is super talented, but we've seen some talented backs. Bijan is super talented. J.K. is super talented, and that just goes to show you how competitive this league is week in and week out, man. We got a big challenge in Jonathan Taylor. I think that challenge is intensified because of Richardson's mobility and their willingness to use schematics regarding Richardson's mobility. And so, man, it is a big run game emphasis for us as I sit here right now at the early outset of the week, looking at things that they do well and the things that we need to do well.
You brought up seeing Taylor after already seeing Bijan and J.K. Dobbins. What do you see in his skill set as opposed to those guys, and how do the Colts sort of block it up in the run game as opposed to what you just saw from the Chargers?
Man, he's got really good pick and vision. His burst is spectacular. His long speed is underrated. His ability to produce big plays with that is a major component of what he does. But the patience initially is Bijan-like. His burst is awesome. He's just got a well-rounded game. He needs no endorsement from me. He's been doing it at this level. He did it in Madison, Wisconsin. I imagine he did it on high school and Little League fields as well.
We're just in Indy late last season, but how much does Richardson change the whole approach to needing to defend their offense with his mobility?
I don't necessarily have the answer to that as I stand here right now. I have so much prep in front of me this week, and he has a small sample size to study. I think this weekend will be his 8th start, and so I don't know that I am positioned to answer the significance of his presence and not. I'm really just focused on what his presence means.
So, yeah, I think it's obvious that Tomlin thinks that the run game is the thing to watch. And on top of the fact they have Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson, they also have a pretty solid line. Ryan Kelly, Quentin Nelson on there, 2 big names. I think that is the focus. They're also going to try to throw some deep balls. They have Alec Pierce, who I think he leads the league in some kind of like 40-yard catches on the season or something like that. Some fancy stat about deep balls. But I think the focus of this game is going to be on the run offense of the Colts against our defense, and whether or not the Steelers are ready to step up. And what are your thoughts on that? I think you might did some breakdown on the Steelers defense into the stats there and how they've been playing so far
Yeah.
this year?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, the Chargers came in to town and of course, only being week 3, they were the leading rushing offense, coming into week 3, and the Steelers had stopped them, to under 100 yards. Right now, the Steelers defense through 3 weeks, the Steelers have the number 1 defense. Again, it's still early, but they have the number 1 defense for 3 weeks. Their defense for some of their rankings here, I have the total defense is first right now. They're only allowing 229.7 yards per game. The scoring defense is first right now, allowing only 8.7 points per game. The rushing defense is third right now, only allowing 71.3 yards per game. And the passing defense is sixth right now, with the Steelers only allowing 158.3 yards per game. So right now, the Steelers defense, is doing pretty good. Again, it's still early. It's only week 3. We're going into week 4, but they are, producing some pretty good numbers when it comes to the defense there. Now, Jonathan Taylor is a very talented running back, I will say. I don't think we played him last year. I think he was injured when we did play them. And Anthony Richards was injured as well last year, so we didn't get to see both of them. And so this Sunday we will get to see both of them. However, I do feel as though, with the Steelers, rush defense, holding, players only holding the team to only 71.3 yards per game right now, I do think that they are going to have a handle on Jonathan Taylor. When it comes to Anthony Richardson's mobility, if you look at what the Steelers do with Lamar Jackson, I think he is the most mobile quarterback in the league right now, and they do hold him in play, a lot of times, and they have his number, and I think that that's not going to be a problem for the defense as well right there. Anthony Richardson does have an arm as well, so throwing the ball down deep may be something that we might have to look out for. But when it comes to the running game, I think that the Steelers defense is going to, continue to do what they've done to these first 3 weeks, be able to hold Jonathan Taylor and be able to contain Anthony Richardson in the pocket and, probably get some sacks and things like that. Because right now, Anthony Richardson, this is kind of like his first year because he was injured. Coming up against a defense like this, he's never seen anything like this. And like I said, we contain a lot of mobile quarterbacks, so I think we should be good there. And maybe Jonathan Taylor has a couple good runs against us, but I think we'll still be able to contain him as well.
Yeah, I think you're right on the money there with a lot of what you're saying. I think last week the longest run for the Chargers was 13 yards, and that came with the Steelers only having 10 men on the field. So their biggest play came on a situation where the Steelers weren't prepared the way they should be for play. And then, I think that they might keep this trend of keeping teams under 10 points. They got a good shot this game. The one thing that I'm a little worried about is that deep ball. I think that the Steelers could be susceptible to some kind of broken coverage and one of their guys getting deep and scoring on a play. And then if that happens, then I think it'll be hard to keep them under 10 in a situation like that. But overall, I do expect the offense, the defense to continue what they've been doing against the run. Like you said, the Chargers came in looking like the best run team in the league, and that's like Jim Harbaugh's the kind of coach that wants to make sure that he runs the ball well, and they just completely kept them out of the game, really. And then especially in that second half, like we've been talking about, the second half stats, -5 yards total for the Chargers last week. I would like to say that we can get that again this week, but that's just that's just something that you're not going to see. And if you combine that with I think the week before, it was 2 straight weeks where the defense in the second half has just completely shut down teams, and it's really impressive to see, I think. But I guess it's time to give some predictions. What are your thoughts on this final score? I think we both had them winning this game. We both had them winning this game in our preseason predictions. Anything changing your mind on that, or you have the Steelers winning another game here?
No, I have the Steelers winning again, and I think that it's gonna. I think with how the offense has been progressing over the couple weeks, I think we're gonna continue to score some more points. I do see the Steelers winning, and I think that this might be another little bit of a double-digit win. I think The final score is going to be 21-10 Steelers over the Colts.
21-10. I like that. Yeah, the offense. I don't see the dam breaking completely. The Colts aren't some amazing offense, but I don't think they're pushovers either. So I do expect a low-scoring game. I think this game could be quick. I know last week was a pretty quick game, but this one might be the same way, where there's going to be a lot of running. I'm going to go. Let's go 17-9. I'm going to go 17-9 Steelers.
Okay.
I initially had them losing to the Chargers, but I'm going to stick with my prediction with the Colts here with the win here. They'll be going to 4-0. We'll both have them looking good through the quarter season mark, I think.
Yeah.
There's not much more to say about the defense. Like you threw the numbers out there. I think they've been amazing. I think the offense is doing exactly what it needs to do right now. Until something changes, I think they're going to keep playing the way they've been playing. Just trying to make sure that they don't make any mistakes offensively and go on for wins.
Yeah, for sure. Wanted to ask, do you have any maybe offense and defensive MVPs for the game this coming Sunday?
Okay, yeah. Maybe Pickens gets himself into some action. I'll go Pickens on offense. He hasn't had that chance to make the breakout that I'm sure he's would love to have. And then defensively, I don't think it's going to be a game where you're seeing a lot of sacks. Maybe I'm wrong if they get behind, but I'll go with Patrick Queen. Maybe he'll have a good game, stopping the run and everything. And I'll go with Queen as my MVP on defense.
Yeah, on offense, I'm going to take Najee. I think he's going to have a breakout running game. I think it's like you said. I think it's going to be a quick running game like last week, and I think I'm going to take Najee to go over 100 on the ground running. And then defense, I think that we haven't seen much of this guy yet for a little bit, but I think Minka's going to get something going on this game, and I think that he's going to help stop some of those deep passes that Anthony Richardson is going to be throwing. So I'm going to take Najee for the offense and Minka for the defense for this game.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I would love to see Najee get a breakout game. He ended last week with some solid runnings there, but still been a little bit of a struggle for him to get going. But I'm ready to see the Colts game. It's the 1 p.m. start on Sunday at Indianapolis. I don't know if we've mentioned that before, but I figured before we end this, we can wrap this up with a little bit of Pirate talk. That Pirates are a little bit in the news right now. We haven't talked about it much in the month of September as they've fallen apart through August and into September. The Pirates are currently 74-84. They have 4 games remaining on the season. But with 6 games remaining in the season, they made the decision to cut 2 of their veterans, or DFA 2 of their veterans. First was Michael A. Taylor, which no one really seems to care about, and no one's really mentioned the fact that he is a veteran who was DFA'd right before the end of the season. The other one, the big story, is Rowdy Tellez. And the key to this story is the fact that he was 4 plate appearances, which is pretty much 1 more game away from getting a $200,000 bonus on a salary that was about $1 million on the season. So it really would make a big difference to his overall salary. We're talking about 20% increase in the salary for this year on something like that. This has had a lot of backlash, both locally and then starting to get some national news. On the season, Rowdy Tellez ended up with 13 home runs and a .243 batting average. This is after he had started completely miserable. I don't know if you recall the whole booing saga and everything that he had going on. But through the month of May, he was batting close to like 170 or so. And then June came around, and he batted .333 in June, .297 in July, and .300 in August. It is important to note, though, that in the month of September, he did have 15 starts, and he was batting at a 116 clip. So the question is, what is your thought? I'll just go the general. What are your thoughts on the fact that they decided to DFA him 4 plate appearances before he got this bonus?
Yeah, I kind of think this was a terrible move by the Pirates organization to do that. I mean, you have 6 games left in the season. I mean, what's the point of just letting the guy finish it out? If you had a problem with him thinking that he wasn't, being a productive player for the team, why not, move him down, earlier in the season? Why wait till there's 6 games left? I mean, I look at I get that you want to, you have other players that you have down in the the minor leagues and AAA and things like that, and you want to see them get some play time too. But what's the point of waiting till there's only 6 games left? They're not going to contribute to anything. They're out of the playoff contention. There's no point to just bring up random, just players all of a sudden out of the minor league and to drop the guy when he's only has 6 games left. To say, I think I saw an interview from Charrington saying that, oh, it wasn't about the money. I mean, would you have paid the guy if he'd have got the 4 bases, if you'd have kept him? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's 4 extra bases, $200,000. I mean, you're a billion. I mean, your organization makes so much money, and you're going to tell me the 200,000 is, is just. I mean, if it's nothing, then what's the point? Why not just keep him for the see if he gets the extra bases. If he doesn't get it, you save 200. If he doesn't, well, it's $200,000 that you obviously have. You can just give to the guy, so it doesn't matter. But I just think that this was just very strange to just do. I mean, if you didn't think the guy was productive, drop him down earlier. Why wait? There's only 6 games left. The season's over at this point. What's the point of just doing it now? With 6 games. I'm very confused with this organization, with Nutting and Charrington. I don't know what's going on in their minds at all.
So I'll give a couple caveats. For the first one would be why now? In their defense, they had the end of the AAA season was on Sunday, so that meant that the minor league players were no longer playing. So if there were a couple guys you wanted to have a couple extra looks for, that would be the time to do it. Is once their season's over, you decide you're going to get rid of your 2 vets, bring up 2 guys. They did bring up 2 young guys. One of them, Leover Peguero, had a good game today. But here's 2 quotes from Charrington. The first one is short. I don't know which one came first, but this is his first quote. We feel like we gave Rowdy lots of opportunity this year. And they did. I mean, like you're saying, that they most likely should have cut him in May. There's the way that he had played, it just wasn't. It was unbearable to watch. They decided not to do it. He comes out and has 3 great months, and then in September he falls off a little bit more. The problem for Charrington and the problem for Notting especially is that they have a reputation that they've built up, and here's a national Pat McAfee show. They got on Jeff Passan, who's like the head ESPN MLB guy, and here's what they had to say about everything that was going on here. I'm going to play that real quick.
And now the Pittsburgh Pirates are basically tempting the universe and the baseball gods to continue to ruin their existence. Now, I've learned a lot of things about this Rowdy Tellez guy. Heard he's not that good at baseball. With that being said, 4 more at-bats, he gets a $200,000 bonus, and the Pirates go, you know what? Let's actually send this guy down. You're done. You're not going to do that. He could easily pick that up, I guess, in 1 game. So they are actually playing with fate here, seemingly. How often does this type of shit take place? Is it always the Pirates? And what does this mean as a whole, you think, for the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, Jet?
It is not always the Pirates, Pat. This sort of thing does happen. It's not frequent, but let's go back to spring training this year when J.D. Davis, who had beaten the San Francisco Giants in arbitration, which is how you determine your salary, and was supposed to get a $6.9 million salary to play third base for the Giants, they go out and sign Matt Chapman, and they cut J.D. Davis, and because he had won that salary in arbitration, was only guaranteed $1.1 million. So the $200,000 compared to the $5.8 million that J.D. Davis lost was a little different. But I think the important point here is not to focus on how the Pirates screwed Rowdy Tellez out of $200,000. It's to look at the Pirates and to look at Bob Nutting and to ask, why is Rowdy Tellez your first baseman in the first place? Why aren't you going out and getting better players? Why don't you sign Christian Walker or Pete Alonso or someone this winter to go and be a part of the core of that lineup long term? Why are you always playing for short term with little money? Why do you have an $86 million payroll to open the season when the rest of the sport at the top has $300+ million? How do you continue to exist as a Major League Baseball owner who theoretically wants to win a championship and do so pinching pennies? This is what happens. This, Pat, is the consequence of ownership that does not treat things seriously.
So there you go. I think that was a good way to just go big picture on this whole thing. Whether or not this was a move to pinch pennies, the national perception of this move is that they were doing so, and it makes everyone scan and look at the fact that their payroll's at $86 million, one of the lowest in the league. I think it might be the lowest, but I'm not 100% certain on that. There may be a few teams that below that number, but the fact is that maybe as Cheriton, here's Cheriton's quote: "No factor at all, zero factor in the decision. Aware of it, certainly. I'm aware of the contracts that all players have. No factor at all, zero. And no, I'm not concerned. If you're asking about the optics going forward and how it affects business and things like that, no. Contracts are negotiated in good faith. Then they live out. We feel like we gave Rowdy lots of opportunity here this year. To his credit, he fought through some difficult times early in the year and fought his way out of it. Had periods of success and periods of frustration. This is just where we got to in the season. Had nothing to do with where the plate appearances were lining up. So as he says here, he thinks that it's not going to affect business. It's not, the optics of it aren't an issue here. I agree. I actually do agree when it comes to other free agency. But on a national scale for Bob Nutting, I think this is another situation where he gets embarrassed. Maybe he just doesn't care. Maybe he has no pride. He doesn't, as long as his checks are clear and he's going to get this organization. It doesn't matter to him. But from the free agency standpoint, a guy like Rowdy Tellez, he doesn't have many options. So your agents can go, oh, blah, blah, we're not going to deal with the Pirates now because they made this shady deal on Tellez. But the fact is, if you have one offer to be a Major League Baseball player, you're going to come sign with the Pirates. It doesn't matter if the Pirates might screw you out of $200,000 at the end of the year. You're going to take that opportunity to be a major leaguer. And then on the other side, if it's an elite player, you're not going to have to worry about this really, where you're not going to have incentive-laden contracts. It's going to be a situation where that guy's going to be making $20 million a year anyway. So the fact that he might get plate appearances taken away from him, it just really doesn't going to come and play at any point in the season. So that's how I'm looking at it. I threw a lot of things out there. I don't know which way you want to go with either listening to what Jeff Passan said or anything I commented afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, everything that Jeff Passan said, I mean, it was pretty much spot on. I mean, if Bob Nutting really wants to win a championship, he's going to go out there and spend money like a lot of these other organizations do to bring players in and try to win a championship. You're not going to, like you said, pinch pennies and just give these guys little contracts and think that they're going to do it. But like you said, maybe Bob Nutting just does not care at all. He owns a team, and he doesn't care how things are going as long as he's making his few bucks and he owns a team, and it is what it is. I honestly think maybe he just doesn't care. I mean, but if he really wants to win, he's going to go out there and get some guys and sign some guys, once the season ends and you get into the off season and you get into free agency and things like that, you're going to go out there and get some guys if you really want to win a championship and bring it to Pittsburgh. If you don't, you're going to just continue to just do what you're doing with the players you have on your team, and that's going to be that.
There's 100% no excuse to not go out and add offense this offseason. They have young pitching, which is what everyone covets. They got the guys that are already in the major leagues, and then they have guys in the minor leagues that are right on the door at AAA. There's literally zero reason for them not to add money this offseason, and significant money if they care, like you're saying. And I think that's the good way to end this with that statement there. And just if they're serious about winning and they're serious about contending, this payroll is going to go up. It's at 86, as you said there. It's going to go up, I think, 50 million. If they want to actually pretend to be serious, I want to see at least 130 million next year.
Yeah, exactly. Same with me. I agree.
Yeah, so that's it for this week. We got the Colts game this Sunday. We both see a win there, but other than that, I'll see you, Lee. Have a good day. Have a good night.
You too. I'll see you. Have a good one.
I'll see you.